just to give us an idea of the makeup of your team, your staff, I mean, how many are sort of assessors, how many are sort of digital?
As you would expect, we do have a high assessment workforce. So our assessors, so permanent workforce is 132 people.
Okay.
We also have associate assessors, which we use for peak periods of time. So we utilise them when we need to, but we also have our own assessors that we employ permanently. That allows us to invest in their training, development, and make them properly feel like they're part of the Innovate team as well. So in the assessor workforce, there's 80, and then the other 50 are developers, client relationship, our central booking team, as we have a team that are office-based and develop. We've also got the qualification side of the business that is supported as well. So you've got about 70% of the workforce that are assessors. The rest is that back office.
And in terms of the split between awarding and EPA stuff, I mean, where's the split, if you don't mind?
So it depends which way you look at the split. Whether you look at it from a revenue perspective or otherwise. If we're thinking about workforce, we only have a really small team for qualifications because a lot of that still has things such as internal assessment. So we don't have to do as much work in that space. So is a lower amount of our workforce that is applied to that. From a revenue split.
But it's a higher revenue split possible.
Yeah. So actual revenue, we now get a higher percentage from endpoint assessment, but margins are much higher in qualifications. So it all kind of evens out over time, really.
And in terms of the depth and breadth of sort of qualifications, just give us an idea of the range of qualifications that you sort of look after and deliver.
Yeah, so we start from level 1 up to level 7. So that's the kind of breadth. But back to that point around, we've become employer driven. So the employers we work with determine which qualifications. So it tends to start quite often where they'll want us to work with them on employability programs or where they're upskilling their workforce. So they could be the more generic areas such as leadership management, customer service, business admin, team leading, through to the more occupational areas. So we cover hospitality, we cover retail, healthcare, adult care. Passenger transport and logistics is a recent one we've got into, along with the creative industries, where that has come purely out of our relationship with the BBC, who we've had a long-standing relationship with, who said, we don't believe people are serving the creative sector from an examination board perspective in the way they should. Is this an area where you will look to get into? So we'll then go and see if we can find the talent, the workforce, and recruit the right people to be able to do a good job. If we can, then we'll certainly look at seeing if that's viable to get into that sector.
So truly employer-led and customer-led in terms of listening and bespoking wherever possible. Okay. So you mentioned an employer name there, but any other sort of employers where you feel that these are sort of significant partnerships and achievements, and you're proud to have them as your customers?
I'm proud of every employer we work with, and they're big to small and have lots of different demands, as you can imagine, and different depths of relationships. So I'm going to pick a few out. Yeah. Please, any employers that we work with that I don't mention, do not be offended, but I'm trying to get a representative viewpoint here. So just because we are in Birmingham, I should mention M&B because they would tell me if I didn't, with their head office being based here. Yeah. And, that they've been a long-standing partner with us and really push apprenticeships, clearly massively invest in apprenticeships.
They're often award-winning as well in terms of the national awards and so forth.
Exactly. And, they have a whole organisation approach that are behind them when it comes to apprentices. So we've worked with those for many years. BT is another organisation. I'm trying to think of people that might be close to us. Yeah. And, the relationship with BT is we tendered for the work 6 years ago. Now, actually, every provider they work with, they are told that they'll only work with them if we are the endpoint assessment or the awarding organisation. Okay. So that's been massively powerful. Big endorsement, that is. Screwfix is another one, which is actually an employer provider, and there isn't many employer providers still left. And again, they do so much to now celebrate their apprenticeships. I could go on. Many NHS trusts that we work with as well. And yeah, in total, we have I think it's 1,600 employers that we work with now across our multiple providers. Okay. And the relationship is built from the level of depth they want with us. Yeah. And we just let them choose it. Some don't want to have an involvement. They're happy working through their provider. But then over time, what we found is those organisations and also the provider see the balance of having it as a tripartite, having the awarding organisation, the provider and the employer. And I think you'll know from your own experiences where you have that collaborative approach and everyone's coming together to get to the best outcome, particularly for that apprentice, that learner and that business we're working with. That's where it works best.
Okay.
Canny Conversation Podcast Series 5 by Safaraz Ali.